Now, let's demonstrate how to use the one-step looper because as its name implies, it's one step and it's done. This is not a mandatory tool to have in your stash, but it's a really great tool if you intend to start doing a lot of wire wrapping and making loops or doing a lot of earrings or even making a lot of necklaces that have looped components that you're linking together. You might want to invest in a one-step looper. I think they have them in 3 or 4 sizes. This is a 1.5 millimeter looper, so it makes a nice kind of a small medium size loop. That's the most common size that I use, but you can certainly buy any size, but they are pricey, my friends. These are, I think, in the $25 range and up, depending upon where you get them. Maybe you can find a coupon or get them on sale, but and it's a great investment. They will pay for themselves tenfold if you intend to be making a jewelry requiring a lot of loops. So let's jump into using the one-step looper. So we'll start with the memory wire. So you will simply grab your memory wire, and the one-step looper has a little pin on one side that makes the loop. When the jaws close, it makes the loop, and on the other side, as you can see here, there is a hole. So you simply, with the one-step looper facing you, you would feed your memory wire through the one-step looper, through the hole on the other side, until a little bit of wire, can you see there, a little bit of wire came out the other side. And all you do is simply literally close it. It's one step. And be careful because your wire will tend to fling. That's why I just put my hand over it. Okay, and let's see what that did. And now as you can see, that one did not turn out very well because it's kind of bent to the side and it's also obviously not closed. Well, that's where our flat nose pliers come in. So your flat nose pliers, as we just talked about in the previous video, have a wide variety of uses. So I easily just went ahead and flattened that out. And now I can go in and I can gently, it's hard to hold memory wires, I'm sure you know if you're familiar with it. You can just gently go ahead and try to close that loop with your flat nose until it meets the other side of that wire. And now that's closed. So let's use the one-step looper on if you have, for example, a head pin. It's the same application. So you just, any wire that you basically have on a one-step looper, you're going, well, any heavier gauge wire, I'll put it that way. It doesn't work on beading wire. So any craft wire, head pins, memory wire, the heavier gauge wire, you're simply going to just go ahead and feed your head pin in, and then you push it through the hole until, see how it came out the other side there? Okay, and you just simply squeeze it. And it makes a nice loop for you. You see that? And again, it's not perfectly closed, so we can even grab our chain nose pliers and we can come in here and try to go ahead and just go ahead and close that up. Just like that. So I wanted to show you, and bringing these two pliers over, how there's just so many applications. So now we're into using a one-step looper, and we're trying to use a round nose plier. We're making loops, but yet we're pulling these two pliers over that I discussed in the last video. So these just have dozens and dozens of uses. So anyway, there we go. So we just did that. Now let's take my sample. I did a little wire wrapping around this focal. Okay, so now that we've learned how to use the one-step looper, we will put him out of our way. Okay, and now let's grab our round nose pliers. Now they come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Okay, I've discussed this in my jewelry tool overview series, which is a couple of weeks back, but you can find it in my playlist in my video section on my channel. Mine are really, really ergonomic. They were very expensive. They were over 20. So that's expensive for a round nose plier because they probably start at like $5. But also, as you can see right here, they have a cutter built into them. And so, you know, these are really good. They're inner spring. They're super comfortable in my hand. And they're just a really great quality. But it doesn't matter what type of ones, round nose pliers you have. The technique I'm showing you how to use round nose pliers will apply to any brand that you buy. So now let's start using our round nose pliers. And we'll start with something simple, which is the wire wrapping. So I just used some of the standard craft wire, and I did a little design here with some wire wrapping. But now I want to make a loop. So what I would do is I would put my pliers in between the wire, okay? And then you're simply going to, it's only going to, by the way, be about 1/4 to 1/2 inch there, right here. Okay, and you simply are going to grab that wire and fold it towards you, and then down, all the way down, just like that. And now take your pliers out. You can readjust, put your pliers back in, and now you can grab your chain nose pliers, and you can grab that tail of that wire, and you can see if you can get that wrapped around. Okay, it's not perfect, but it doesn't matter because I'm just trying to demonstrate how to make a loop. And then I took my flat nose and, you know, now I can put the loop where I want. And so do you see how we just made a loop there? And then in order to finish off that loop, by the way, all you have to do is you would cut this off and you just tuck it in. Tuck it in wherever you want it to be tucked in. Doesn't matter, we're not demonstrating that today, we're just simply demonstrating a loop. So let me grab this head pin. We'll cut off what we just did, and let's do that again with the round nose plier. Okay, so now you have a head pin. So you simply would grab, now in this case, you would be not wanting any wire sticking out of the top of your plier. It needs to be flush. You see that? I don't have any wire sticking out the top of my plier. And depending upon the size loop is where you're going to set it, the wire inside your round nose plier. Now, as you can see, down here at the edge, it's small, and then it's like a cone, right? It goes larger. So you just have to make sure that you decide on the size loop that you want. This is a smaller to the larger size loop. That's where you put your wire. So again, let's put the wire inside, and then we're simply going to wrap that around away from you and then down, and remove your plier, and you just made a loop. Now, if you want to have a bend in your loop because it's kind of like all on one side and you want it to be perfectly straight, all you literally have to do is put your pliers in your loop, and then by holding your head pin, you simply just press it a little bit, and then we can just close up that a little bit. And do you see how we did that? That's super easy. Now we have a perfect loop to add onto an ear wire, whatever we're going to do. So I'll cut that off and do it one more time. So you would simply put your head pin inside your round nose pliers, flush, nothing up, sticking up, and you simply pull it up and around, just like that. Remove your pliers, and you have your loop. If you need to adjust your loop, you can put your pliers back in. If you need to close it, you can do so just like that. Super duper easy. If you want it to be perfectly straight, you can simply just hold your head pin here by putting a little bit of pressure where the loop is, like that, and then we kind of have it to where it's kind of got a more straighter look. Now let's use round nose pliers to do the same thing on the memory wire, making loops on memory wire. It's the same application, but it's a little tougher because memory wire is going to be thicker. You grab the end of your memory wire, you're going to grab your round nose pliers, and the same thing once again. We do not want any wire sticking onto the top of that loop, of that plier. We want it to be flush. And then you're simply going to roll your pliers forward. And you might have to readjust your hand and do it again until your loop meets the inside of the other part of the wire, like that. You see how we did that? It's super easy. And same thing, if you want to, make sure it's perfectly closed, grab your flat nose, gently press. Now that closed it, we can even use these to just grab that, and we can even bend it up a little bit. We want it to be a little bit straighter. But super, super easy. Making loops is actually easier than most people think. It's just a little bit harder on the memory wire. So we'll do it again. We'll put our wire in flush, nothing coming out the top of the round nose plier, and we will simply turn them away from us, readjust, and continue to turn until that loop meets the inside of the other piece of the wire. Just like that. And if we need to use our flat nose, we can. If we need to turn it or adjust it and straighten it out, we can certainly do that. Super easy, right? Didn't quite get that. Let me grab another fresh piece, doesn't have anything on it, and show you one more time how to make a loop on the craft wire. Because you can also you can make your own earrings out of craft wire. So you simply want to put your wire in, again, flush on the wire, absolutely nothing coming out the top of the plier. And you just simply wrap the wire around and you've made a loop. Now if you want to straighten that out, simply grab your bent nose or you can keep your round nose pliers in your loop, resting the wire on your finger like that, and kind of just pulling it forward like that. So very easy to make loops. In fact, there's a lot to discover about loops, and there's many more applications, but that's at least a beginner's bird's eye view tutorial into making a loop. But more importantly, what we are doing here in this series is demonstrating the tools. And so we just demonstrated the one-step looper and the round nose pliers, and hopefully you learned a little bit more how to use those today. Stay tuned for video 4 of 4, our final video in this Jewelry Tools demonstration series. And we will be talking about the various types of cutters. Thanks for tuning in. Be well.